Hey everybody, welcome back to Why Not RV. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about 5 things to know before you go buy in a new RV. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you want to learn more and make less mistakes while RVing. Check us out online at whynotrvusa.com. We're also now on Patreon at patreon.com/whynotrv. And we have an amazing Facebook group that is growing very, very quickly. So come join us on Facebook. It's just Why Not RV under Facebook groups. But I'm going to put a link in the description below for all those websites. Let's jump right into it. Number 1, the very first thing you need to know before you go buy a new RV is what floor plan is going to work for you. What do you want out of an RV? Do you want a bunkhouse? Do you want a toy hauler? Do you want a large kitchen? Do you want a front living? All these different floor plans really are just purely dependent on the individual and their needs, wants, and desires. What I like is different than what you like, which is different than what your neighbor likes. So figure out what type of floor plan you even want just to start with, because there's so many. Once you narrow it down to you got several kids, so you want a bunkhouse. Once you figure that out, it will eliminate 80% of the other RVs out there, because you know that if it doesn't have a bunkhouse, you don't care. Or if you like to cook, you love being in the kitchen, it is your thing, you want a nice big RV kitchen. As soon as you walk into an RV, has a tiny kitchen, next, move right along. And you can tell that a lot with floor plans. You can just look at the floor plans of different models and see that the kitchen is really small. There's not a lot of counter space. There's no island. There's a really small fridge. It's all dependent on what you're going to use it for. So figure out what floor plan works for you. Moving right along, still talking about the same thing. Once you've figured out what type of floor plan you want, now you have to figure out what type of RV you want. And you might even do this first. Do you want a travel trailer? Do you want a fifth wheel? Do you want a motorhome? If you want a motorhome, do you want a Class A, a Class C, or do you want a van, a Class B? Do you, if you say you want a fifth wheel, do you want to stick with something that's small, easy to tow, can get into all the state parks, and you want to stick around 32 feet? Or do you not care, let's go as big as we can, 40 foot plus, it doesn't matter to me? Or do you want a travel trailer? And then again, what type of travel trailer can you even tow? So you have to know all those things before you even start that next process. And let's get right into that. Number 2, is the RV dealer you're going to buy from a reputable dealer? Selling an RV is what every single RV dealer's main job is, to sell that thing, get it off their lot. Once it's gone, if you're not with a good, reputable dealer, it's not their problem. They take no responsibility. They do not want to help you. Once they've made that sale, you are garbage to them. So is that the kind of dealership you want to buy from? Probably not. And I'm not going to bash Lazy Days or Camping World or General RV or any of those, because there are plenty of them that are amazing and there's plenty of them that are horrible. And same thing with small mom and pop shops. Some of them are absolutely amazing and some of them are just horrible. They have no customer service. They have no follow through with after the purchase, because buying an RV is simple. Taking care of and maintaining the RV is really the question that you're going to have. If you're not going to do a lot of the maintenance and fixing yourself, who do you want fixing it for you? You want to make sure that their service department has good reviews. You want to make sure that the people that you're working with are knowledgeable, certified individuals. So do your research on the dealership. You might have 2 or 3 dealerships in your area, but if you drive 2 or 3 hours, you might open that up to 8 to 10 dealerships. And it's going to be worth it for a lot of people whenever you're talking about this big of a purchase. So do your research on your dealers. Make sure you're buying from a reputable dealer. It's going to take care of you after the sale. This is by no means in any particular order, by the way. This is just my 5 things that I think you should know before buying an RV when it's new. So let's just get to number 3. Number 3, I'm going to talk about tires. I talked about tires when you're buying a used RV, but even more importantly, when you buy a new RV, the tires are so important, because most, not all, but most of the manufacturers ship these RVs with the lowest grade tire that they can afford to put on there. Basically enough for it to get from the factory to the dealership without blowing up. After that, these tires that come on these RVs are not rated for the weight that the RV is most of the time. There's plenty of manufacturers that put good tires on right from day one, but you want to find that out. You got to figure it out. Talk to the sales guy. If you don't know enough about tires, do some research on tires. Weight rating is extremely important with tires. For example, my RV, when I first got it, it had Load E tires, which are rated, I can't remember exactly, but I did the math at the time, and I want to say it came up to like 14,000 pounds total with all four of my tires, something like that. And my RV, when it's fully loaded, is 15.5, or maybe it was 16. Maybe my tires, I think, were rated for 16,000 pounds total with all four of them, and like 4,000 a tire. I don't remember specifically, but either way, I knew that the tires were underrated. Well, I took my RV out on the very first trip, boom, had a blowout. I was not speeding, I had a blowout. The reason I had a blowout is because these tires are not rated for the weight that they're carrying a lot of times. So you can do two things with that when you're at a dealer. One, you can use it as a haggling tool. You can either try and get them to put on higher rated tires. If you have E-rated tires on there, try and ask for F or even G. I put G tires on mine because now I know that speed and weight are no longer a factor for me. I still like to stay around 65, but a lot of times, E-rated tires, I don't know specifically, I have to look at the exact chart, but let's say they're rated for 55 miles an hour, and you're going 60 down the highway, you're gonna have a blowout. So even if you have a small travel trailer with E-rated tires, and you know that the weight's good, but you're going too fast, you're still gonna have a blowout. So put bigger tires on there. Use it as a haggling tool, get a tire upgrade, or get a price off the RV for yourself. Number 4 we're gonna talk about the slide system. So whenever you're buying a new RV, there are 3 main types of slides. You have hydraulic, you have Schwintek, and you have cable driven. Now there's other ones. There's some that are just on an electric motor with a little gear, and I don't know the name of that type, but the 3 main types out there right now are hydraulic, Schwintek, and cable driven. Do your research on each. Figure out number 1, if you've narrowed down the RV, you've narrowed down the dealer, you got them haggled on tires. Just do your research on the slide system. There could be absolutely nothing wrong with your type of slide system. Just be knowledgeable about it, because if you have a cable driven slide and you don't understand how the cables move and how it goes in and out, when you're down the highway and something happens and you can't get that slide out, you're going to really wish you had a better understanding of your specific slide system. Now, I haven't looked too much into cable or Schwintek because I have hydraulic on mine. Now, I've done a little bit of research. I know the basic principle of the cable and the Schwintek, but I know on my RV how to get my slides in and out if I were to have a failure. Either my hydraulic pump were to fail or something like that. I know how to still get my slides in and out because I did the research. If you don't know how to do that and you're at a campsite and you go to pull on slides and your cable just broke or your Schwintek is coming in on one side, not on the other, if you don't know what to do, you're going to be stranded, you're going to be stuck, you're going to be paying a lot of money for an RV mobile repair guy to come out to you and get it fixed. So do your research on the slide system that's on the RV before you buy it. Make sure you know what it is, how to fix it, the basic principles of it, okay? It's a really simple process for each one, but just focus on yours. Don't worry about anyone else's, just worry about yours. Last but not least, number 5, know the value of that RV. Once you've figured out what RV you want and you're haggling on the price and you're talking to the dealer and you're doing financing, all that stuff, know the actual true value of it. First thing is you need to accept the depreciation, okay? If you're buying a brand new RV, in your mind right now, accept it. 20% of that is gone. The second you drive it off the lot, 20% of that RV is gone. Just accept that now. If you can accept that, you can move right on. Now, knowing the true value of an RV just takes a little bit of research, okay? If a certain dealer is trying to sell you a 2021 Grand Design Solitude 373 FB for $95,000, but the dealership 2-3 hours down the road sells the exact same RV with all the exact same stuff inside for $92,000, use that to your advantage. Let them know, hey, this dealership has it for $92,000. I can go right down the road. You can either try and get a price match, you can try and get them to beat the price, but know the true value of that RV. If there's no other ones for sale, it's the only one that's for sale at this exact time that you're looking and you're like, I want to buy it, just do some research, see what other ones have sold for. There's RV appraisers that are out there that can tell you that kind of information. And yes, they do cost money. I think anywhere from $50 to $200. But, on a $50,000, $100,000 purchase, $200 could save you 5-6 grand if an RV dealership is trying to take advantage of you and say, oh yeah, this is the last one on the market, there's not another one like it, so they're trying to charge that premium. Find out what the last ones actually did sell for. Use that to your advantage. Use those tools to haggle the price and get down to where you feel comfortable, because again, once you drive off that lot, 20% is gone, and then each year on average about 10% for the next 5 years. So if you can accept that, awesome, good for you. Buy it, enjoy it, live life, love the RV life. Why not RV, right? That's it for this week's video. I appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for next week. We'll see you next time. Bye.